Now to the 2012 race for the White House. Mitt Romney is out with a new ad entitled "Thank You, Governor Perry." But as you might imagine, he's in no mood to commend his Republican opponent, particularly on the issue of immigration.
Who supports Governor Perry's decision to give in-state tuition to illegal immigrants?
I want to publicly recognize Governor Perry and the state of Texas by having taken that step forward when you decided to give access to Mexican migrants to universities in Texas.
Goldie Taylor is a columnist with thegrio.com and the founder of Goldie Taylor Omni Media. Christina Bellantoni is associate politics editor with Roll Call. Good afternoon. And Goldie, this ad is already drawing comparisons to the infamous Willie Horton ad run by the first President Bush during his 1988 campaign against Michael Dukakis. Is it that bad?
I'm not sure that it goes quite that far, but what's clear here is that, of all of the GOP candidates in the race, Mitt Romney should have greater sensitivities to immigrants, especially those coming from our southern border. And so I think it's deplorable for him to make an attack like this about children who are here in this country really through no fault of their own. And the very idea that Governor Perry wants to educate those children in public schools and then provide an in-state tuition discount for them. Mitt Romney and other Republicans really ought to see it, as they like to say, as a state issue and let Governor Perry do for his constituency as he pleases.
But Goldie, you know that Mr. Perry has had to walk that comment about those who oppose his position as not having a heart, that he's had to actually walk that back. It seems to me as though compassionate conservatism, that is out.
I think compassionate conservatism is not in season this season, and so you're absolutely right about that. I think the difficulty here is there are real economic implications for not educating immigrant children and making them productive members of American society. It isn't like these children are just going to, quote unquote, go home to a country in which they haven't lived since maybe they were 2 or 3 years old. And so I think it's disingenuous of Republicans to say that we shouldn't offer this kind of subsidy to children when they have been living in the state, all of their lives.
Christina, it does seem almost incredible that what many felt was a compassionate expression, as expressed by Perry at the debate, is actually now being used against him.
Well, this is a Republican primary. I mean, these are very different sets of voters from a general election.
Are you telling me that those voters are therefore not interested in compassion?
I mean, I'm not going to cast judgment on voters, but immigration is a wedge issue in a Republican primary. You saw it used against John McCain in 2008. Now, of course, that didn't work. John McCain ended up being the nominee, and many of the core conservatives in the Republican Party felt that John McCain was too liberal on immigration, and that is what Mitt Romney is trying to exploit here. I was just with him in New Hampshire earlier this week, and he gave a town hall, and he was really the one distinction he really drew between himself and his rivals in the primary race was on this issue of this state-based DREAM Act. Now, if Perry is somehow able to make it to be the nominee of this party, this will force a debate about the DREAM Act at a national level, and I think that that's probably a good thing for the country, for President Obama to have to talk about it and not just say he supports it, and then to have Perry, facing off against him. Now, will that happen? We don't know. I think Perry is really vulnerable on this issue because of where the Republican primary electorate is, and Romney knows that, and that's what he's trying to go after here.
Goldie, we were talking about Mitt Romney, but what about New Jersey Governor Chris Christie? He continues to be the brass ring Republicans keep reaching for. What do you think about him and the prospect of him possibly entering the race?
Well, he better do it quickly. I mean, he really has literally a matter of days before, some of these state registrations open and close. And really, it takes more than just money, which he would have, more than just message, which he clearly would have. But it takes clearly organization in Iowa and New Hampshire and South Carolina and in Florida and some of the early key states. He's going to need a full county-by-county organization in all of those states in order to make a credible bid, no matter what his national name recognition happens to be. And I understand that it's growing. I think at the end of the day, he has a real opportunity majority, but he has to do it now, and he has to do it fast.
Christina, has Christie become the East Coast version of Sarah Palin, where he goes from appearance to appearance, fishing for compliments and asking for contributions?
I don't think so. I would not compare the two of them. I would make a comparison between what happened with Governor Perry getting in the race. You know, this was someone who said he wasn't going to run for president. Then he changed his mind and he got in. And the few weeks before he did, there was this big clamoring for another type of candidate in the race, and you're seeing this again. But what Perry has learned very quickly is that you're not just going to come in and skate. And Christie would certainly be attacked by all of his rivals who think that they're on track to the nomination. So, you know, this is a field that may well expand. But as Goldie points out, you know, it is getting pretty late there. You do need that key organization. You know, I'm of the mind I do not believe Sarah Palin is going to run. And so, you know, could this field be set as it is? I think it's possible because Christie can look at the calendar and he can look at the numbers and he can sort of figure out what his chances are.
Christina Bellantoni and Goldie Taylor, thank you for joining us this afternoon.